Welcome back to watching Singles Inferno Season 4 Episode 7 Part 2. We had to do a Part 2 because this episode has so many lessons in it. In this episode, I'm going to break down exactly how Jun-seo gets the girl. Before that, if you don't know me, welcome to my channel. My name is Giovanni. Not long ago, I was that nerd hiding in the corner, practically invisible when it came to women and socializing. So no matter where you are now on your journey, welcome to the channel.
I'm just feeling a little drained is all. Well, since my mind is truly all over the place right now.
No need to explain. I get it.
I didn't like myself in that moment. I felt like I had no backbone.
Okay, finally, she has some self-awareness, so that's very introspective, and it gave me hopes that she would be more introspective. But then she goes back to her old ways.
You must feel perplexed.
So she went to the bathroom, she came back, and she's like, oh, I could finally express myself. So being able to fully and honestly express yourself can be a very freeing experience. I have a lot of those experiences with my clients in my one-on-one training.
I really am going to follow my heart now.
She wasn't even playing this game seriously until this point, when she knows other people can be hurt. When you're a good-looking person, and you know that for a long time, with great power comes a level of responsibility. And so I think she should have known that from the beginning. Like, a lot of my model friends, like, they know the guys are chasing her, right? So she's almost like puts up a wall in the beginning, like, look, I want to be friends with you, but my timeline is a little slow, so why don't we be friends first? And they actually get to know them as people before making a decision, because they know that they can jump into a relationship whenever they want, especially when they're at their peak, sexual marketplace value peak, between like 23 to 30. These girls can have any guy that they want, really, right? They're the most beautiful girls in their cities. So by the time you're 25, you should have a level of responsibility where you're like, okay, I know guys hit on me, and I need to, proactively preempt that, or to not let anyone feel like they've been misled. I'll tell you why. Because my ex-girlfriends were like that, and there's two very different stories that path can go. One path, the girl continues being oblivious, and basically if she breaks the heart of a guy that has a lot of power, and what happens is this guy probably owns like a nightclub, or he's a leader of a social circle, and he gets really mad because he feels like she misled him, and he takes retribution, and she gets cut off a social circle, or she experiences losing a really top modeling job. It happens all the time in modeling.
Good luck, Colin.
Wow. How come nobody says hi to me?
How come you don't say hello to them?
Models. If they were any good, they'd be working in New York.
So she has to be very careful that, especially with insecure guys, but even with normal guys, that she doesn't lead anyone on. The other type of girl picks it up right away, the model girl. She's like, by the time she's 23, she's like, okay, guys are into me. I have to proactively befriend him and make him feel comfortable and know that there's no romantic connection, or I have to turn them down very early on and very nicely. And so they basically separate guys, like there are guys who get it, who respect the game, and there are guys who don't. And the majority of guys, 80% who don't, she doesn't even play the game with them, right? Because she knows that there's going to be heartbreak, and he's going to call her a bitch, and she's going to suffer for it. So they're always very professional, or they know how to handle that situation.
Freddie, I am a professional.
Well, this don't seem too professional to me.
And firing a girl because she doesn't want you is.
Most girls don't, but the top models that really get to places, they know how to handle the attention and people liking them. Sian obviously does not, and she's gonna break hearts. I guarantee you by the end of this season, a lot of guys will be crying over her.
I just feel more at ease now. So thanks. I mean, we're given 10 days. I had no idea this was possible, to be honest.
10 days does sound short, right? But you have to keep in mind that they don't have their phones. They're on a secluded island. So 10 days with the sole focus of dating is actually enough time, in my opinion, to know if you like someone. You're 24/7, you're with these people. That is enough time to really suss things out if you know who you are and what you want.
But still, don't think or worry too much. You're gonna come here with me again.
So the player, the wolf in him comes out. You can see the biting of the lip. A lot of times girls do that. You can tell she likes him, and she liked that he was very dominant. He took the chance. That to her is very attractive because he's not just giving her that all the time like Teo is. He's reframing from giving it, but then when he gives it, it's like intermittent rewarding, right? It's like, oh, I feel good now because he's not just giving it to me nonstop. It's predictable. Now he's giving me interest. But it's also interest with a reframe, right? It's like, don't worry, I know you'll come here with me again. It's very confident, and it's like, I'm gonna win anyway. So it's a very powerful line that he's used there.
What?
Even the judges are impressed.
If we look back on Xian's initial interview, she actually did say that she wanted someone who could reliably and confidently wait for her because of her indecisive tendencies.
Like I said from the beginning, like people that are like that, they're very hard to date no matter how hot they are, and you almost don't want to date them, right? It's like too much work for, the juice is not worth the squeeze. And that's what this judge is saying.
In a way, Jun-seo was able to comfort her and voice such a bold statement even in that less than ideal situation.
Exactly. If you want to date a girl like that, you have to almost like be responsible, like walk her through her own emotions. So it's almost like you're guiding her like a therapist, you know, and it is almost like too much work, to be honest with you, having done it myself. That being said, you're in your early 20s, man, and you just want that hottie, and she's like really hot, but like, you know, a leaf in the wind, you're gonna have to do the work to get there. And once you get there, you're gonna realize it's not worth it. But it's not my place to tell you it's not worth it. You know, for you, there might be accomplishment there, a sense of accomplishment there that you have the skills to do that, no matter how you look.
I think it got Shion to open up to him a little more. But for me, to be honest, I keep thinking that it could be dangerous to date someone like her.
All her comments on Sian are spot on. Why? Because she's also a hot Korean girl. So she knows, like, look, this is an indecisive hot chick that gets too much attention and feels entitled. So she's like, look, if you're gonna date her, you're like setting yourself up for failure, is what she's saying in a very nice way. And I absolutely agree with her. She's not always right in the previous seasons, but in this season with Sian, she's right like 99% of the time. And here's what she says.
Just considering how her feelings can be so easily influenced by all sorts of factors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. It's a pain in the ass to date these girls. I've dated them and it sucks. I know it sucks because I've also had the other side of it where I had the girl just as beautiful who didn't have the flighty tendencies, who knew what she wanted and liked me, and it was very attractive, and she was also good in bed, and she had all the qualities that you want in that crazy hot girl, but also she didn't have all the bad qualities you didn't want. And so once you know that's possible, you no longer spend time with these girls no matter how hot they are, because you have higher standards now. You now know that you're able to get girls of that caliber, so you no longer obsess over these girls that look very attractive, that can be very alluring, like you've never had it before.
I mean, I just really want to know how you feel now.
For some reason, I just feel a little lost right now.
The way I see it, you're being way too nice and chatty with everyone. He ain't lying. So tell me who your first choice is.
She's going straight to this guy and be like, look, we're almost at the end of this experiment. Tell me who your first choice is. I would like to know. And I feel like he owes her that, okay? And I hope he tells her the truth.
Well, I mean...
You know you're doing that?
I'd say...
Shin.
Okay, good. I give the guy props. Finally, he's honest with her. I mean, I feel like he's been lying the whole time, and I respect her for hearing that and be like, okay, good luck with you then. And she knows now she can move on. So it's good. When you know for sure, release the other person. Let them be free, and don't hold on to them because you're insecure or you're afraid that, you're not going to get another offer, right? Good on her for asking too.
I would have admired him if he actually said, I really like Shion instead. His ambiguous way of speaking was just not something I was vibing with.
The way she phrases her sentences are so cool, right? It's like kind of a backhanded slap, but she said it in such a polite way. So with Halen, he wasn't as straightforward. That's why I don't like this guy, right? Like, just be honest, man. Like, stick to your guns. And he doesn't do that. He's not able to commit. And that's why he's going to end up single, I guarantee you.
Be clear about what my feelings are to head in. So I was honest with her and told her that I was leaning more towards Shion right now. Was I not clear about that either?
He wasn't clear at all.
He was not clear at all.
He said he chose Shion today, but he also said that he really liked spending time with her and that he liked them both.
So he wasn't being very clear.
All 5 judges are like, wait, that was not clear at all. So when all 5 people agree that you're not clear, dude. So I think he's probably holding on to Halen because she's the new girl, and he's still like, if it doesn't work out with Sian because there's 2 other guys after her, maybe it'll work out with this new girl. And it's really unfair to her. And props to Halen for recognizing that. It's like, hey, I'm not vibing with that. Get out of my house, I respect her for that. I don't respect this other guy though. I don't like the way he's doing things.
You couldn't find it?
No, it's fine though. Don't get up.
Oh! Isn't
They're
this
really
a
in the same
first?
bed.
Okay, they're still flirting in bed. This is interesting.
Earlier?
You find this whole situation sad?
So, should I share this with you guys? Let's watch the scene first, and then I'll break it down for you. He's leaning over her, he's touching her, he's being very physically dominant. We call it physical escalation.
Jun-seo, you're the only person I spoke openly with.
So you gotta understand right now, like, people are thinking, wait a minute, what happened to his wittiness and his, like, verbal banter? At this point, none of that matters. At this point, it's what we call BBB. Baffles brains. Like, you can say anything you want because right now the communication is no longer on a verbal level, it's on a physical energy level. Okay, so you can say anything just to keep interacting with the person, but now it's almost like there's this energetic pull, and he understands this as a player. I know he's a player now given his actions, and he's just like saying whatever. The words are just like cover for what's really going on.
What's he doing?
Oh?
This is a tactic where you kind of reach over and you hover over her. It's very dominant and you're like trying to grab something, but it's really feigned. Like there's nothing there. He's just doing that on purpose to establish dominance, okay? And she knows this, but when you like someone and there's physical escalation, you just need a reason for a girl. It doesn't even have to be a good reason because she already wants to believe you. So it could be any reason that's comfortable for her.
Now that I'm aware of it, I'm gonna have a clear idea of what I should do from now on. I won't be swayed by your feelings, though.
I won't be swayed by your feelings. Like, I don't care about your feelings. Whereas the other guy is like, I hope you like me back, right? So the sub-communication between these two is different.
I'll do what I want.
I'll do what I want.
You don't have to make things clear for me.
Okay.
You know what's fat? I realized that I actually didn't have that many conversations with you, but I feel like I know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Without you having to say anything out loud at all to me.
When you establish a connection through like logical conversation over lunch or dinner, you can reinforce that connection by saying, now I feel like we get each other without having to communicate. So the connection grows deeper. Now, when you can do that on top of the physical escalation, the girl's gonna feel even more sexually attracted to you. It's very hard to do and it can't be fake. It's kind of like, think of a tent, right? You gotta nail the grounding stakes in first. Because the stakes are already in the ground, you can solidify the stake by hitting it harder and it goes deeper and deeper. But if you don't have those stakes, connection stakes in the beginning, you can't ground the connection to anything. But because he already did the groundwork, now he can reinforce that by saying these things. Make sense? So that's why connection triggers are so powerful in dating, because it allows you to be like stand out from other guys that are good looking, or if you're not a good looking guy conventionally, to outcompete guys that are better looking for you if you have enough time with the girl, right? To build those connection triggers. And it's something I had to figure out as an Asian guy in the States. And if you want more information on how to do that, check out First Date Formula. The links are in the description.
What are you doing?
What?
What are you doing? Why are you wiggling so much? You keep wiggling.
Yeah, boy.
Oh man, oh, this is wild. Okay, I have so much to say, but let's finish this scene. Oh dang.
What's going on?
You gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. Is he hugging her?
He is. I think so.
He's hugging
I
her?
think he is. Yes. He's hugging her like this. He's hugging.
Korean shows are much more tame than the States, right? Like you watch American dating shows, there's literally like humping going on. Here it's like, oh my god, they're hugging. Asian culture is just less sexualized that way. I remember on Too Hot to Handle, it's like, hey, you broke the rules, there was oral stuff going on. But here it's like, oh my god, they're hugging. Oh, just different cultures.
I mean, I lost the most amount of money out of all the dudes. Like, I was clapping cheeks. I was in her guts.
Shame that we have to go to sleep, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure there's more for us to talk about.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It's a shame having to waste nights sleeping.
That's a shame, isn't it? We have to waste the time night sleeping. In other words, like, we're not gonna be sleeping, we're gonna be doing other stuff. And the show ends with them making noise under her cover.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Wow, bro. Wow. The Koreans are great at editing, I gotta say. How much do I want to explain this? I don't want to give you too advanced, and I don't want to get in trouble because I don't want to get canceled. So I'll give you the basics. As nerds, we called it the Kino escalation ladder. Kino is short for kinesthetics. And you notice that in this interaction, first he leaned over her to look at the time. Then he put his hand on her hand, and she didn't move. Then he was wiggling a bit. So when you wiggle, it's kind of like you're kind of dancing. When you're dancing, you kind of nudge the other person to see if they play back, right? So you wiggle a little, you move into her space, and you see if she moves. So every step of the physical touch gets more advanced, right? When you're learning dating, part of the thing you learn is hand holding first, touching on the elbows, that's acceptable as in the beginning. Then more intimate is face touching, neck touching, and then you get more sexual from there. So he's escalating and she's not saying no. Now, you're gonna hear fourth wave feminists and social justice warriors say, that's a predator, that's an apex predator, he's taking advantage of her. Call 911 now! No, women want to be taken by a guy who knows what he's doing, that is dominant, that knows what he wants. They are by nature attracted to that. Anyone who says otherwise doesn't understand male and female nature. I want to show you a clip from Sex and the City, and keep in mind that like in today's society, this would be considered like forceful, but I think it perfectly illustrates the push and pull of sexual attraction. And watch this clip and tell me what you think.
I made a mistake.
You.
I love you.
Oh, hell no!
My mind was yelling how angry I was, but my heart...
The heart wants what it wants. And this is one of my older mentors, but he said, I always try 3, sometimes 4 times. So he would tell me the story where as long as the girl didn't outright reject him, he would engage the girl again, once, just politely, twice over the course of the night, 3 times. And then he says, sometimes the 4th time's the charm. It's like the 4th time, finally she believes that I'm a cool guy or like I'm for real. And she's like, I kind of admire his persistence, right? And back in the day, 3 or 4 times was a magic number where if you are not flat out rejected, she kind of goes through the night and she kind of like, okay, this guy's a real person, I believe him. And that 3rd or 4th time, finally you break through her wall and she's like, okay, I'm yours, right? And this flies against kind of the feminist culture where it's like, you need a written signed consent before you can do anything, otherwise I'm gonna sue your ass. It's not like that, dude. And what's happening here on Singles Inferno is that Jun-seo is a guy who takes action. All the other guys are being polite because of Korean culture. He just takes what he wants. And that's attractive because everyone else is not doing that. Now, in American culture, where everyone's kind of grabsy-feelsy, you stand out by being a guy who can do that, but you're restraining yourself and you're getting to know the girl. So in each culture, there's pros and cons. Basically, the underlying theme and the lesson here is that women want a guy who can take action. Women want to feel also connection. So you can take action, you're dominant, you're attractive, but you also are kind, considerate, empathetic. And what you're doing is you're building raw attraction and dominance and soft, comfortable connection. And a lot of clients struggle to understand this dichotomy because it's one of those like life paradoxes where both things can be true at the same time. So for example, I want to go on adventures because adventures excite me and it shows me new things about the world. But if I'm like bungee jumping off of a cliff, for me, that's scary. That level of uncertainty creates fear and doubt. On the other hand, if I sit at home and do nothing and I'm very stable, I know what I'm going to eat, I'm very predictable, my schedule is all planned out, I feel very safe and comfortable, but I long for something more exciting. So Tony Robbins used to say, the quality of your life is the amount of discomfort you can comfortably accept. So the same thing plays out in dating, which is like, I want to be attracted, I want the guy to be unpredictable, I want the guy to take the lead, I want him to be a man. But if that's taken too far, this guy's not respecting me, he's being aggressive, it's too much, he's like very dominant, I'm afraid of his emotional outbursts. On the other hand, if he doesn't have that, he's a very predictable guy. It's like I feel safe, he's a provider, I know he can take care of my kid if I have one with him, but I don't feel excited about him, so I'm gonna go cheat with somebody else, right? So as a guy, what you need to do, in my opinion, is you need to have a level of attraction and dominance, and you need to have a level of comfort and connection. So as Matthew Hussey would say, a good guy, but with an edge. Young girls, they want the bad boy because they don't know any better, but as they mature and they suffer through the inevitable fallout damage from the bad boy, they want a good guy, but the good guy who has an edge. So what you want to do is you want to cultivate as a guy unpredictability and dominance and alphaness in all the areas that make the woman feel attracted to you. So for example, I'm dominant when it comes to planning things. I'm dominant when I know at the right time to take the lead and just grab her hand, and say, look, I know you like me, you don't have to say it, it's all good, right? I take that lead. At the same time, I also calibrate to know when she doesn't want that, and I'm like, hey, I know how you feel, why don't we slow down, we can hang out another day. I can make statements of empathy and say, how are you feeling today? We don't have to do anything special, I just wanted to spend time with you. So I know how to build that comfort, and I know how to pump up the attraction when I need to. So these two things, comfort and attraction, is a duality of human nature. We have it too, right? Guys, I want the super sexy girl at the club who's like, sexy and probably will do crazy things in bed, but at the same time, it's like, I want that caring woman who, when I lose my job, she's there to support me, and she like tells me I can do it, she believes in me. I want that my ride or die bitch, right? Don't go in the comments and be like, all women are like this, that's why I divorced them. Men and women, we both have that. And once you understand this dichotomy and you understand the principles and then practically how to use it in your lines and the way you communicate with women and the vibe that you have and the energy field and the sub-communication of that, I talk about all this in my book and in my course in more detail, then you suddenly become a guy who has dating abundance, because most of the women that you meet, you're going to be able to create these two emotions and they're going to feel drawn to you, and eventually they're going to chase you, and when they find out other girls want you, they're going to chase you even harder. And what happens is, believe it or not, you become the male version of Sion, which is, look, I'm at my 40s now, but in my peak, in my like mid 30s, I basically had to manage like how far I get with each girl, because I know eventually they'll fall in love with me. And I knew that it was my responsibility that if she was very immature or inexperienced, that I almost never don't even start that dating interaction with her. So when I told this to my Taiwanese friends, they're like, but you were like God, you had the world. Oh my God! It's like air. It's like if you don't have it, you really want it, right? But when you have it, you take it for granted. So for me, once I had that, it was like, this is kind of a burden too, right? I don't want that, you know? Like I just want to find the right person. So with great power comes a level of responsibility. And ideally, you can wield your power casually in a way that allows you to be free and still be yourself, right? And that's what I try to do in my method, which is like, how do I authentically express myself with everybody? And how do I do that within a dating framework? And how do I do that without hurting people? And how do I do that as a good guy and make a lot of friends with people that don't work out and date the person that I want? And that's the beauty of this game. Now, even at my level, sometimes that 1% of the crazies, it's like you were honest with her, you were clearly very, very clear, authentic throughout the whole interaction. You don't even date her. But because she has mental issues, they're very insecure, they'll project their own issues on you, and that's not your fault, right? You've done everything you can. But that's like 1 to 5%. 99% of the time, if you do this correctly, most people will respect you, they'll befriend you, they will respect your authenticity and honesty. And guess what? There wouldn't be any dating shows because there'd be no drama. So I guess it's not good for these companies or Netflix, but for humanity, I think it would be good to teach this skill set in school where you can fully express yourself and your intentions. And as a man, know how to get a woman. As a woman, know how to attract and filter for the right guy. It will make the world, in my opinion, a better place. Okay, we're gonna watch episode 8 next. So subscribe if you like these analysis. And if you need some help with your dating life, the resources are always in the links in my YouTube description. Enjoy.